Meanwhile, the icy relations between Democrats and Republicans in the Oregon Senate may be thawing a little bit, and a solution might be taking shape that could end the Republican walkout. Nothing is set yet. Republicans walked out of the Senate chamber beginning May 3rd. Without their presence, there's no quorum, and without a quorum, the Senate cannot do anything as a group. OPB first reported today that efforts over the weekend to find a compromise between the Republicans and Democrats are starting to bear fruit. They reported that a framework appears to be in place. If approved by members, Democrats would make major concessions on bills creating new abortion rights and protections and gun possession. OPB specifically reports that one part of the compromise being discussed is getting away from giving girls under the age of 15 the absolute right to get an abortion without their parents' permission or knowledge. Instead, OPB reports a doctor could decide that the parents do not need to be notified if they decide that it would endanger the girl. If that is part of the final compromise, it would directly contradict what the Senate president has been saying many times and told me 3 times during our interview 2.5 weeks ago. But you won't touch 2002, right?
No, we've been pretty clear about that, actually, since the beginning of session. And really, when you look at voters and what they're asking us to do, ever since the decision that overturned Roe v. Wade, Oregon voters have said we need to protect access to reproductive health for women in this state.
Is there any scenario in there that you see a compromise within that bill?
No, the bill is set to go. So right now, we have a very robust committee system in the state of Oregon, probably more robust than any other state in the entire country. That bill had months of work leading up to the legislative session. It received a hearing in the House. It received a bipartisan hearing through the Ways and Means process. It has received a floor vote in the House where the Republicans, I do want to note, stayed and they had diligent debate and raised a lot of questions. And then they voted on it. And that's what people are asking the Republicans in the Senate to do, is to come back and vote on that bill.
But are you willing to drive the session off a cliff for that bill?
Well, I'm not driving anywhere off a cliff. I can tell you this, that Oregon voters are expecting us to be here session after session voting on legislation, and that's what we're committed to do.
All right, but just to be clear, no way, no how you're moving at all on 2002?
No, that bill is definitely set. That is definitely for our members. It's a bright line. Women need reproductive health services in Oregon. We are not going back on our commitment to codifying Roe.
And I know it sounded like I was asking that question over and over and over again, but actually that happened during our 30-minute interview. We talk about some other stuff and then I'd bring it back, so we just put it all together for you. Anyway, Oregon is already one of the few states in the nation with no legal restrictions on abortion. The right to an abortion was actually expanded in 2017 under the Reproductive Health Equity Act. And in 2018, voters rejected a ballot measure that would have restricted state money being used for abortions. Both sides, Democrats and Republicans, have stayed pretty quiet when we've been asking about this reported compromise today. They'll only tell us that negotiations are ongoing. So I guess that's a good sign. If it does roll out the way that OPB has reported, it would certainly highlight the potency of these legislative walkouts. But we're watching what's happening in Salem, and we'll bring you the latest as soon as we hear about it.